Hello, everybody. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear me better now. And I wanted to, what I was trying to share with you guys is a market update for York County, South Carolina. So while you couldn't hear me before, what I wanted to share with you on this market update Monday was what is going on in five of the cities in York County. So there are a number of cities in York County, but I wanted to highlight some of the ones that I know would be, that you guys could actually benefit from the most. So first, I wanted to talk about Canopy. So Canopy MLS is the MLS that we're a part of, but I did want to share some information from them. And so I wanted to be able to talk about the new listings that are coming up. And I don't give me 1 second, you guys. I just want to make sure that we are good on Facebook and everybody can actually hear me. So give me 1 second here. Um, so so great. So yes, awesome. All right. So I did want to highlight what is going on right now in the city of Fort Mill. Let me just check and make sure that you guys can hear me here. But in Fort Mill, in the city of Fort Mill, we have. Um, I guess the reason why I'm doing this is because earlier this year, everybody was like, oh, nobody's buying houses right now. You know, things are so different. And while there are houses selling and there are people, there's a difference. So we're going to look at last month just so that we can get an indicator of or of June, excuse me, so that we can get an indicator of what's been happening this summer. So in June of 2025, the median sales price in Fort Mill was $615,000. Now the median sales price is $519,000. So when you're looking at things like that, then you want um, to just make sure that I am on live and you can see me. Yes, you can. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So I do have some people there. Perfect. Okay. So what you want to be able to do is to look at the average sales price. So the average sales price uh, in June of 2025 was 616,000. The average sales price now is 590,000. And your percentage of original list price received means if the house was, let's say for instance, the house is priced at 590,000. If it's at 100%, if this number percentage of original list price received is at 100, then that means that you would actually be receiving 590,000. But what's going on is you actually have houses, so you can actually subtract 3% from that. So you're looking at possibly subtracting about 15,000 from your list price, 15 to 16,000 off of that 3%. If you're counting it as a 500 and or $600,000 house or $500,000 house, if you were looking at 600,000, it would be about $18,000 off of that price. So you would be your gross net or your gross proceeds before anything comes out would be around $575,000. So that's how much you would be looking at if you were looking at 590, somewhere in there. I'm doing the math and I'm doing head math. I'm doing girl math. So it is what it is on that. But but I did want to let you know that and the list to close is right at about 82 days. So if you're looking at being on the market now, you're looking from the time that you list till the time that you close is about 82 days. And you're looking at about 39 days on market before you go under contract. Some of them, cumulative days on market until sale right now is about 50 days. Now, here's the funny thing: the average sales price is 590,000. The average list price in Fort Mill right now is about 655,000. There are about 512 homes that are on the market that were on the market in June, and that means that they had about 3.8, about 3.5 months of supply and inventory. And what that means is, like, back in the day, there used to be a situation where you would have about, let's say in 2022, you probably had about a week's worth of inventory on the market. That's how fast the homes were going. Right now, we probably have about 3 months of total inventory. I also wanted to share with you. Let's look at Lake Wylie. With Lake Wylie, there are in June there was 154 properties on the market. There was in June there was. I just wanted to make sure that you could hear me now. Yes, you can hear me. Great. All right, I'm done with that. All right, so in the month of June in Lake Wylie, there were 154 homes on the market. 105 homes went under contract, and 93 homes closed. That doesn't mean that the same 154 houses, and out of those 105 went under contract. You have to remember that there were other homes that were already on the market at that time. So 154 homes went under contract. The median sales price is $580,000 in Lake Wylie. The average sales price is $748,956, and they're getting about 96% of whatever that asking price is. They were getting up to 96% of that. And list to close is a lot higher than it was in Fort Mill. You got 88 days to close from listing to closing. That's the average in 2025. This year, you're looking at over 3.5 months before you list your home in Lake Wylie and you close. So days on market until you actually go under contract, you're looking at an average of about a month and a half to 2 months before you go under contract on your house. And cumulative days on market is averaging about 65. Now, the average list price again has gone up, but what's happening is that you have it where people have been listing at, let's say, about one in June there was 1,087,417,000, and that's for 2026. So the prices, yes, they have increased. They even increased year to date. So from January 1st until June of 2026, the total average sales price is about it's increased 7% from 759,000 to about 811,000 in Lake Wylie. So then in June it went all the way up to 1 million. So it's over 1 million. And the inventory that they have is about the same. It's only increased about 3.5% from 2025. And there's about 4.5 months of inventory. So that's actually higher than, we have more longer time or more inventory than we have in Fort Mill. So let's look at Rock Hill, South Carolina. So in Rock Hill, South Carolina, though, there are the average sales price is lower in Rock Hill, and I will tell you that the reason why that is because in Rock Hill, you have a much larger geographic area. So if you're in Lake Wylie, it's a much smaller geographic area. You're going to see that there are going to be more houses for sale, more closed sales, and then you also have a lot more rural and city. So everything is kind of counted in there in terms of Rock Hill, South Carolina. So in Rock Hill, there were 141 homes that went under contract, 152 that closed. The median sales price of all of Rock Hill is $370,000. The average sales price is um, four four hundred. The average sales price is $400,000, and the percentage of original list price received is 96%. So, what that means is, if you have, again, if you're listing at 400, let's say for instance you're listing at $400,000 at 96.5%, what that means is that's you're not getting a full 100%, you're getting about 96% of your list price. It's taking about 84 days from the time that you list to close. So again, a lot like Wylie, you're looking at about 2.5 months from the time that you list till the time that you close. And then you're also looking at days on market, your average days on market until you sell. You're looking at about 45 days, which is a 15% increase from 2025. Cumulative days on market in Rock Hill right now, we're looking at about 50 days until you go pending, which means until you get a contract on your house. The average days, so yours could have sold faster, um, somebody else's could have sold longer, but the average for everyone is about 54 days. So you could possibly be looking at being on the market for about um, 54 days before you go under contract. There is inventory of homes for sale. We have about a 3-month supply in Rock Hill, and you are looking at, excuse me, about 419 houses on the market, or that were on the market. And out of those 419, only 100 I should say 25% of them closed, right? We can look at it that way. So we can 25% of one out of every 3 houses sold in June. So 3 houses didn't sell. If your house sold in June, kudos to you on that. All right. So let's look at Clover. If you can, let's look at Clover, and in the city or the town of Clover, the average sales price there is $537,000, which is a 17% increase. That's amazing. That's a 17% increase over 2025 in the town of Clover. So if you're looking at, you know, the town of Clover at a, if you're looking at the town of Clover, hold on one second, I'm on now. If you're looking at the town of Clover, the average list price is $610,291. That's also a 14% increase over 2025. So there are 174 houses. That's what I meant by Rock Hill. Rock Hill is so large in terms of the amount of houses it includes for the city of Rock Hill. You got double of what you might have in Clover, which can kind of make the numbers a little bit skewed for Rock Hill. So list to close though is the longest time. So the list of closed for the town of Clover is over 100. It's 100 days for the city for June. But the average amount of days on market until you go under contract, you're looking at about the same as everybody else, which is about 40, which is about 50 days. So about a month and a half, I would say about 2 months, really, before you go under contract. The months of supply of inventory is about the same for everybody. I think the only the only town that was a little bit less than everybody was Fort Mill. There were 70 new listings, 48 pending sales in June, and 61 closed. So that's up 15% from 2025. And finally, let's go ahead and look at this town of York. So if we're looking at York as a as its own entity in terms of the town of York, then you're looking at they have a increase in their percentage closed. So the percentage the original list price received, out of that, instead of, you would get 96 point, on average about 97.6% of whatever your list price is. So let's say, let me explain that. So let's say, for instance, if your house is listed at $100,000, so we can do easy math, then that means that 97, you would actually sell for $97,600. I mean, that's basically that would be kind of where people are making offers. So if you have a house, for every, um, 400,000 or 100,000, you can just do the math on that and just realize that you're probably going to get about 97% of your asking price. The new listings have actually decreased about 12% in York. So there's not really a lot of homes on the market. There are definitely less homes, about 20% less homes that were on the market and that went under contract in from June of 2025 till June of 2026. But the median sales price has increased. So 23%, the average sales price has actually increased 23% in York. So that is, if you're interested in selling and you live in York, that's actually a great number to be able to take a look at. So, however, list to close in York, from the time that you list to the time that you close, you're looking at about 124 days. That is almost about six months on average. 4 months. I'm sorry, Lord, 4 months on average. By the time you list and by the time you close, so there's about 3.5 months of inventory, which is standard, as you can see, throughout York County. I just wanted to be able to share those facts with you. If you have any questions, I mean, it could definitely be different for your situation, and it would depend specifically on things like your location within whatever town you're in, and and what's going on in that specific area, because real estate is hyper local. And what that means is, it's not, you can't just look at the whole town of York or any town. You would have to look at whatever is going on right around you. And just wanted to give you guys some insight into kind of what's going on in the market, because sometimes people are thinking that houses aren't selling. They are seeing people sell houses. People they always have questions about what's really going on. So I did want to share some insight into one aspect of the Charlotte metro market, and hopefully this can help you on your journey. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful and amazing week.